without further ado, Simon, over to you.
Thank you.
That's enough, sit down.
Thank you very much. Well, looking around at all these guests, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for making the effort to come today. I know it wasn't hard because they're a very special couple. Thank you for those that have travelled quite far distances. And it's my duty to do a couple of other thanks as well. So first of all, to Chris, my wife, who is actually the one that gave birth to this beautiful. I have to say, I wake up every morning. I wake up every morning saying, I wonder how on earth I deserve to be married to this beautiful woman. And Chris wakes up every morning the same. How on earth did I deserve to be married to him? You know, so thanks to Dave Whelan for the service and the talk and the vows. I think that was fantastic. We really enjoyed it, and the band and the singing. Special thanks, of course, to Anna, my other daughter, and Sam, the son, who are just wonderful siblings towards Becky. So thank you especially to them. And also, I know he's not here anymore, but I don't know whether you realise, I was informed this morning, it's International Dog Day, where you're supposed to remember all the rescue dogs. So a special thanks to Sammy too. Now, that's my bit done, sort of the thanks bit. I want to do something else. Some of you may know I do a little bit of magic from time to time, and Simon asked me especially to do something this morning. So if it all goes wrong, it's down to you, all right? So maybe you could hold the mic for me, Bex, while we do this. I thought what I'd do is a bit of a compatibility test, all right? So I've got a few, I've got a couple of blank ones. We'll come to those in a minute. And I thought I'd do oh, well done, Anna. Thank you. I thought I'd do a compatibility test. And I don't know who's doing the washing in your family. Does anybody particular?
We're both doing it.
You're both doing it. All right. Well, I've got two identical sets of cards here. I'll show you what they are in a moment. Who's going to mix them up for me?
Shuffle.
Yeah, give them a bit of a shuffle. That'll be fine.
That's the worst shuffle, there you go.
That's it. That's fine. That's perfect. And so I'll show you what I've got here. They're a couple of feet. All right. They're not my feet, otherwise there'd be two left feet, and which, if you see me dancing later, you'll understand that. You won't see me dancing later, I can assure you. I've got one for you, Bex, of course, and one for you, Simon. The other thing I've got here is actually they are socks, pairs of socks. There's 15 pairs of socks. The whole point today is, what I'd like you to do is to try and choose the matching pair of socks, a matching pair. There's 15 pairs, so we should be all right in there. I think you can see through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
like them.
You like that? Oh, you like those, do you? Yeah, I like those as well. All right. So, Bex, if you like to stand up for me.
Oh, I think she can. That's a joke.
If you can't, don't worry. That's okay. And if you hold that in your left hand and hold out your right hand. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to deal these down. All I want you to do is say stop at any point, all right, any point. Now, don't go much beyond, or don't go beyond halfway, because obviously you've got Simon to do as well. So I'll just deal them down. You say stop at any point you want to.
Stop.
Okay, now put your foot in it, which you're going to probably do a lot during the marriage. So that's, but in this case, it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't advise it normally, but. And so, Simon, if you'd like to stand up too. And if you hold that in your right hand, hold out your left hand. That's right. I'm going to deal down again. Don't go beyond halfway, otherwise we'll be mixing down. You just say stop at any point.
Stop there.
Just there. Are you sure?
That's fine.
So stick your foot in it.
Yeah.
I think you're probably going to do it more than what Becky is, but there we go. That's the way it is. So hopefully, if it's all worked out okay, and please don't blame Simon if it hasn't. It's always good. Now we'll go through and find your feet. There's Bex. Okay. So if you'd hold out your hand again, Bex, pop that on there. Put your other hand on top. If you'd stopped earlier, you would have had that one, and stopped a bit later, you would have had that one. But
no, I don't like them.
You don't like them. Let's look for what we're looking for is a matching pair, and if possible, my favourite pair.
Okay.
And if you'd stick your other hand on top. Again, you could have had that one, could have had that, or whatever. But you didn't. So let's see what you've got, Beck. Oh, look at that. Purple with white stars. Yeah, it's all right. It's nice. It's nice. Now, have you got the matching pair? Turn it over.
No,
So,
I got yellow with green spots.
it's a compatibility test.
Oh,
Sit down a minute. Sorry. Yeah, that's all. Well, you know, life, like magic, sometimes goes a little wrong, doesn't it? You know, and so that's and so all I wanted to say to you guys is that two of the most important words in a marriage are "I'm sorry" and "I forgive you." All right, so those are important. And we had some of that, didn't we, during the service, that wonderful reading from 1 Corinthians 13. Love is kind, love is patient, love never keeps a record of wrongs, all right? Okay, all of that. But of course, what St. Paul was talking about mostly was about God's love. And that is the prayer, certainly for Chris and I, that, that both of you enjoy, excuse me, water, enjoy the love of God together. And in the future, whatever that may bring, we know that you both are such a lovely couple, and we pray the best for you and God's love in that. Okay, so let me take a sip. But Anna, if you would come and hold this for me. I mean, what did you get anyway? What did you get?
I got the purple star.
Purple sock, yeah. Well, I did say what I'd like to get was a pair, you know, and if possible, my favourite pair. Excuse me a minute.
No.
All right. We're there. It's all right. It's all going to work. Pull up your socks. What I'm going to do. Becky, you picked up the left sock. No, don't stop. No, listen. I think you'll agree, a matching pair, and we have here the perfect pair. Aww. Thank you.
Oh, he's still on the table.
Okay. I don't know what to say now. Dad should tell me about the trick and showed me the trick, but stopped at the cards. And I said, was that it? Like, that's rubbish. So then the idea was I was going to do a bit and then he was going to reveal the socks, but then we decided you might think he'd cheated. So so it's over to me. I feel like it's probably a bit rubbish after that. Right, okay, so for those who don't know, I'm Becky, Anna's sister. I've had people all day saying to me, you must... Oh no, I'm Anna, Becky's sister. Oh dear, it's a good start, isn't it? Well, I've had people all day saying to me, you must be Becky's sister. I don't know if it's because I look like her or if it's because I fell into the pictures outside and knocked the pictures over. Okay. So I first met Becky when I was 5 3/4 years old. I can't say I remember much about it. Didn't make much of an impression, other than you managed to give me and Sam some pretty cool presents, which I was a little bit suspicious that maybe Mum and Dad had bought at the time. I was delighted to have a little sister. I'd felt I'd matured, having spent my preschool years testing my parents and poor brother Sam to their limits. I distinctly remember throwing sand in his face, holding his head underwater in the paddling pool, and trying to push him down the stairs. Basically because I wanted to find out if Mum's warnings really were true and were going to happen. You'll be pleased to know that Mum always came to his rescue and he was okay. And I've outgrown my defiant phase. Almost. Anyway, Becky, I finally had matured and was able to help look after a younger sibling. And I absolutely loved it. I loved learning to change your terry towel in nappy, complete with a safety pin. Help wash the nits out of your hair. And later on, I taught you how to swim underwater, but without trying to drown you. That was good. So even though you're almost 6 years younger than me, as we've grown up, I've always looked up to you. Partly because you're taller than me, but mostly because you are creative, beautiful, kind, and have worked so hard in very challenging jobs, particularly at challenging times in your own life, and you really do help change people's lives. Okay. I'm really thankful for the way that you love not only me, but also Andrew and Izzy. And you don't even need to try to be the number one cool auntie, because you just are. Now we have Simon in our family as well. And I know Izzy will be loved and spoiled even more than she is already. She's learned pretty quickly that she only has to mention something she likes, and Simon will buy at least 4 of them. She definitely does not need any more M&Ms for a very long time. So speaking of Simon, before I even met him, he gave me a lovely bottle of gin for my birthday. My first impression was, is he a try-hard? Maybe a little bit too much. Andrew said, my husband said, you can tell he works in sales. However, I decided that if he bought me good gin, then he could hang around a little bit longer before writing him off. As we dropped in and out of lockdowns, we slowly got to know Simon more, and I could see the similarities and connection between them. They both love dogs, and of course especially Sammy. They are both fun-loving, loyal, faithful friends with a propensity to do really silly things. Basically, they're both like dogs themselves. They're both in the nicest possible way. They are both generous, kind, and totally committed to the cause. Of course, Bex would come to her niece's 7th birthday party in full unicorn wig and horn and manage to leave a hole in our lounge ceiling when attempting the piñata. When we go out as a family, one or other of them will suddenly disappear and you'll be left looking around for them. Simon will have dashed off to help carry someone shopping or help them cross the street, and Bex will have fallen over. So, in all seriousness, I'm delighted that you have found each other. I know that Bex will be well cared for and loved, and that we'll all get great Christmas and birthday presents. I love you very, very much, Bex. And Simon, welcome to being my brother from another mother. So if you will join me in raising your glasses for our first toast to Bex and Simon.
I think my petticoat's come down. Oh, God. It's all right. I'll have to sort that out later. My petticoat's come down. So, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the wedding today. And I know I've not had a chance to kind of catch all of you yet, but I hope I get to. I know it's not conventional for the bride to do a speech, but as this room is full of such incredible people that mean an enormous amount to us, I just couldn't let this opportunity go without saying some really important things. I've decided to write it and read it in the hope that that will make it less likely that I cry. So, firstly, is Laura here? Laura, I hadn't written this down, but so Laura works at Ufton and she has been absolutely phenomenal. She's helped us so much. So I just wanted to give you a big round of applause. Thank you. Every time we had a Zoom meeting, Laura would be like, okay, and who have you got to do such and such? And we were like, what? Oh, so like you've really helped us make sure we've got everything sorted. So I want to thank all of Simon's family. Simon's going to say more in a moment, but I wanted to thank you personally for the most incredible welcome into the family. Oh, it has not worked. I honestly can't believe how fortunate I am to have been embraced by all of you.
Love you.
Love you too, Claire. Here I'd like to make a special mention about Grandad. Where is Grandad? Hi, Grandad. It's amazing to see how you have instilled the importance of prioritising family in all of the generations. Thank you for helping to shape Simon, the man I now get to spend my life with. Oh, blimmin' heck. To Mervyn and Wendy, I've loved our visits to you in Shropshire, and I cannot thank you enough for your generosity in helping to make today happen. It really has blown us away. And Wendy, thank you for introducing me. Where are you? Where's Wendy? Oh, thank you for introducing me to Cremant Loire, which we just had to have at our reception drinks. I hope you noticed. To Roz and to Rob, you two have been extremely generous, thank you. Your excitement at Simon and I getting together has meant a huge deal. Although, Rob, the threat of you spying on us from post boxes was a bit concerning. Roz, the way you have battled the most horrendous cancer with tremendous courage and optimism is truly inspirational. I feel very blessed to have you as my mother-in-law. To all of Simon's friends from home, uni and work, thank you for your acceptance of me and your incredible friendships with Simon. It's been great getting to know you over the last few years. The fact that Simon is such a kind person is directly linked to those he has surrounded himself with. And to the stags in particular, thank you for giving him a very special stag do and for bringing him home in one piece. On to my extended family, thank you for travelling from Wales and from Liverpool to be with us today. We were so delighted that you could join us. And while several of the family couldn't come due to poor health, we've felt their warm wishes closely. Whilst not directly related, I've always considered Sue and Dave Partington as family. Thank you for being amazing friends to Mum and Dad alongside Dot and Andy and Dave and Jackie, and always being so invested in and supportive of me. As both our families grew up at Yeldle Manor together, we have a special bond. For those of you that don't know, Yeldle is a Christian charity and a residential rehab for men in addiction. Dave and Sue, your influence on me helped me grow into the person I am, including now being a staff member there. It's great to have some of my Yeldle colleagues here today. I cannot thank you enough for your support over the years. I think we can say in the tough and stressful times we've questioned both our desire to work there and our sanity. We've all been to more funerals than we ever should have. Working in addiction really does take a toll. But at the same time, we share a very special connection and passion for our community. To Sue, Anna and Trinity, I'm very grateful to work alongside such fab women in a heavily male environment. You, alongside Nolene, who sadly couldn't come today, have been awesome. I'd like to thank Dave Wilden for leading such a beautiful ceremony earlier today. We've really valued the support of Karen and yourself. And to all of my church friends here, thank you for embracing me just as I am. Okay, to my absolutely gorgeous bridesmaids, my sister, best friends and niece. You are the most beautiful girls, inside and out. Thank you very much for bringing Mexico to Gloucestershire for Bexican, the final fiesta. The most amazing hen do ever. I had the best weekend full of memories that I will treasure forever. The effort you put in was astonishing. Steph, Mim, Candice, Kat and Bex, alongside my bridesmaids, have been the most incredible friends. All of you girls have shown me immense love and support over the years, through thick and thin. In 2018, life events caused me to hit a real low. I completely lost my confidence and personality, and I developed crippling anxiety. You girls loved me, encouraged me, and championed me. You listened and you helped build me back together. This type of love is a truly beautiful thing, and I was so blessed to receive it. I'd like here to make a special mention about my youngest bridesmaid, Izzy. Despite being 2 peas in a pod and looking very similar, I can confirm she isn't my daughter, but my very beloved niece. Born 10 weeks early, you were a teeny 2-pound, 12-ounce baby. You have faced a lot in your life so far, with several operations, including one at the start of the year that was horrible for you. Despite all of this, you have become the most gorgeous person. You make me laugh so much with your quick humour, and you inspire me with your bravery and determination. I love you very much. And have I embarrassed you? Probably have, haven't I? This leads me on to my sister, Anna. The best older sister I could ever wish for.
I'm your only one.
Oh, yeah. Whilst I was probably a major embarrassment to you when we were styled in matching outfits as kids, I loved it. Being 6 years younger than you, I was thrilled when you entrusted me with joining you in the secret task of getting nail varnish and candle wax out your bedroom carpet. It's amazing what a rug can cover up. I'm sorry, Mum. As adults, we became great friends. Thank you to both you and Andrew. I have always valued your advice, your fun-loving natures, and your unwavering support. To my brother Sam, I have always known how much you love me. Even though you really wanted a brother, you were so thrilled when your baby sister came along. You taught me to ride a bike, which is probably the hardest fiver you've ever had to earn. What have I done there? Thank you. And despite me cramping your style, you always eventually let me play on the beloved Sega Mega Drive with you. Simon is certainly grateful for the Streets of Rage skills I now have. Now, on to the rock in my life. The most amazing example of sacrificial love, and someone I will never be able to express in words how grateful I am to have. My mum.
Sorry.
You have always been there for me. 2018 and 19 were tough years in the family. The way you cared for Grandma in her final years alongside everyone else was remarkable. I so wish she could have been here today. You have always said there is nothing us kids could do that would stop you loving us. You've never ceased to pray for us and help us. Thank you for being the best mum, making countless sacrifices in your love for us, and showing me how to be thoughtful, welcoming and kind. To Dad, aka the magical policeman. You always threw the best birthday cards with your various birthday parties with your various magic tricks. And I have the warmest, fondest memories of your made-up bedtime stories when camping in France. Whilst some people at school would question me why you had arrested them, it really was never a problem, as I knew you were a policeman of integrity and not malice, and actually everyone respected you for it. The only time your integrity was in question was when you clocked off for meal breaks after you'd eaten dinner with us, just so that you could spend more time with the family. When I said I was going to work in a prison, you showed natural parental concern, but the utmost support. Your career in the police showed you the ugly side of life. And as an adult, I can now appreciate how admirable your dedication to your work was. Thank you for teaching me to never give up. So at this point, please join me in raising a glass to family and friends, as neither Simon or I would be who we are without them. Okay, it's the home straight. To my dearest Simon, you will probably all know that when I moved to Twyford, Simon and I met whilst I was walking my dog Sammy. Suddenly, this bobble hat wearing man with a passion for merino wool socks was borrowing his friend's dog more often in the hope Sammy and I would also be at the park. We began chatting, and Simon told me he loved Hamilton the musical and he worked in sales. I told him that I don't like salespeople. However, Simon and his fab colleagues from Click have proven what an ignorant idiot I was, because it turns out salespeople can genuinely be nice. A friendship began to grow, and whilst you trapped me into a first date that I was unaware was about to happen, you showed me total respect when I said I wasn't ready for a relationship at that time. I cannot thank you enough for that. It meant a non-pressured friendship could grow, which I believe created a great foundation for us. Sammy immediately took a great liking to you, which was remarkable for a rescue dog that generally hated men. This was worth paying attention to, as Sammy and I have a bond like no other. That dog has completely changed my life, and I think you'll all agree he made a very handsome ring bearer. We'd have loved him here all day, but he'd be begging you all for chicken. As time went on, I realised that the kindness of this man was not just an act. He was genuine. I mentioned earlier about the anxiety I had developed. The first few times you experienced this, your caring response was unbelievable. I thought it was far too good to be true, but you have consistently and patiently listened. You never rush me when I need to talk. Your support is astonishing, and your love doesn't waver. You always encourage me in my faith. We have so much fun together, and we really do make a great team. What would help even more is if you could just tidy up after yourself. I promise I'll also try my best to ease up on my military standards. And whilst I have agreed to share Sammy with you, remember, he's 51% mine and only 49% yours. There are so many things I'd love to say about you. I could talk of your beautiful character all day long, but the guests are hungry. If people forget everything I've said about you today, I hope they remember this. You are the most loving, generous, and patient person I have ever met. Yeah. I cannot believe I get to be your wife. I love you and you're my best friend. So as I close this speech, please can everyone join me in a toast to my husband, Simon.
Who's messy? There you go. That's your phone. Oh. It's in a bigger font, don't worry. Whoa, here we go. Thanks, Claire. Thank you, Simon, Anna, and Bex, my gorgeous Bex. More on you to come later. Amazing. I thought I'd struggle with my speech, and I struggled getting to it. My job today is so easy. They say the people you surround yourselves with are reflections of your character. And we must be just so blimmin' brilliant, but also so lucky to have you all as close friends and family. I've got a few thank yous and 2 toasts before I come on to the star of our show. The first is for the reason that we're all here today. Dogs. Bex's love for dogs is well known, and in 2019 she was lucky enough to get her own little beige pocket rocket in Sammy. A nervous little terrier with strong territorial and nesting instincts, Sammy soon showed Bex how to be confident around others and use facilities at the right time and place. Bex's journey would bring her to Twyford, where she'd race home at lunchtime to take Sammy on a brisk walk at the local rec. I'd been living in a flat up until January 2020, so I couldn't get a dog of my own, but thought I'd try an emerging service called Borrow My Doggy, the strangest Tinder-like experience you'll ever encounter, where you match with dogs, message their owners, and meet up for a trial walk before agreeing some sort of free dog care regime. It was an awkward experience, and few families and 4-legged friends didn't work out, but eventually I found Purdy, a liver and white Sprocker Spaniel in need of walks when her humans were in London. Luckily for me, Sammy was obsessed with Purdy when they first met. Once he realised she wasn't at all bothered by him, and that her tail was the same height as his nose, he suddenly wasn't that keen. He got tired of being smacked in the face by a wagging tail whilst waiting for a treat. But he'd already introduced us, and the damage was done. So dogs literally brought us together. They make life better each and every day, and I wouldn't hesitate to recommend life with a dog. If you're lucky, you'll get one almost as good as our ring bearer today. So our first toast is to dogs. Right, what's next most important after dogs? Oh yes, family. Simon and Chris. What can I say? You've managed to produce this incredible woman. She shows moments of your humour, Simon, and is always warm, diligent and organised like you, Chris. Thankfully, she also has her own funnier jokes and somehow puts up with my chaotic spontaneity, or messiness, as she likes to call it. From my first encounter with you, handing over Sammy after an emergency vet trip, to my first takeaway at Cornfield Road, my first caravan trip to Sully, you have been the most welcoming in-laws. From curry to COVID, you've shared everything with us. And your generosity and candour and warmth have created a brilliant space in which to get to know you. All the Williamses and the Taylors emulate this inclusive spirit, and it's been a blast becoming part of the family. I especially like how comfortable you all are taking the mick out of my mistakes, like when I book theatre tickets for March rather than May, or forget to fill out one little form which ends up delaying a holiday. I look forward to making many memories with you all on or around the dates I intended to book them for. Bridesmaids, you all look absolutely gorgeous today. Thank you for helping Bex to get ready, keeping nerves calm and making the day run without a hitch. In addition, thank you for throwing her the most amazing hen do. I was humbled to have a cocktail named after me, a walk me down the aisles, but a little disturbed to see what I would look like drinking one whilst wearing a dress. For your friendship to Bex through thick and thin, and the friendship you've shown me as a newbie to the group, thank you. Groomsmen. Handsome bunch, aren't they? I'll reserve judgment on Phil until I've heard his speech, but I wanted to shout out to each of you for your help in preparing and ushering on the day. Mark, you're a phenomenal brother, the most talented performer. Thank you for playing for us all during the ceremony and your guidance through the last 32 years as my older brother. Dave, Chris, Dre and Meeks, thank you for all the ushering, the emceeing, the pastries, the errands and advice leading up to today. Thank you all for being bad enough at tennis that my low level seems to go unnoticed. Phil, thank you for 14 years of friendship, for an incredible stag do and golf day. You've already made one dream come true by allowing me to be a 7-foot inflatable dinosaur in Tenerife, and I know you're going to make another one come true today by not embarrassing me in front of all my close friends and family. Thank you. Right, dogs, in-laws, tick, 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 tick. My family. I was tempted to start with my family as it's the bedrock of my life. Hopefully you'll see why I didn't in a minute. Ladies first, so Dad, there you are. Like a fine wine or strong cheese, you've been a great dad that's gotten better with age. A clear, calculated head, you're the most amazing sounding board and confidant a man could wish to keep. Whether ensuring I hadn't lost the plot in flying to Belfast for a passport, or mulling over my next career move, you always make time for a lengthy phone call to talk through the options and make sure I've thought of all the angles. Almost unbeaten at Scrabble, and along with incredible hospitality for Wend, you provided a second welcoming family for Bex to enjoy. Without your generosity, today wouldn't have been possible how it is, so thank you for that, thank you for everything. My maternal family needs no introduction. They say insanity runs in the family, but in our case it took its time getting to know each member individually. I've learned as I've gotten older that it's unusual to have an extended family as close as ours, and it's made me all the more grateful for you all and for our eldest attendee today and his influence on us. Grandad is 94 years young, and as well as being an actual war hero, is an absolute hero in my eyes. I've learnt so much from him, but two things most of all. First, family is everything. It's not your career, your golf handicap, or the football scores. Without exception, and apart from in the speech order, family comes first. Grandad is the epitome of integrity, the pinnacle of generosity, and an example to us all. He'd quit his job when it didn't agree with his morals, quit golf when it took away time from the kids, and never quit encouraging all of the family to look out for each other, enjoy each other's company, and be inclusive. I've fallen short of that standard a few times, but I'm so grateful for that vein that runs through our clan. His second favourite saying is, make the most of what you've got. This glass half full thinking has fared me well over the years, but is no more embodied than the subject of our second toast, my mum. Now, Bex knows I'm going off on a tangent here and is completely supportive. For those that don't know, Bex alluded to it, last year Mum was diagnosed with stage 3 triple-negative breast cancer. And as she's done continuously over the last 35 years raising us, my mum threw herself into things with a smile, with incredible pragmatism, courage and humour. Even when things got really rough, she took joy in a cup of tea, comfort in a good book, and celebrated progress as and when it emerged. Brilliantly supported by Rob, she's completed chemo, surgery and radiotherapy, and we now dare to be positive about the longer-term outlook. My mum is utterly bonkers, regularly embarrassing, and completely brilliant. I would not change her for the world. I know there are mums in this room, mums of mums, and those whose mums are no longer with us. It's why we're asking for donations to cancer research today. And it's why they're the subject of our second toast. If you still have your mum, give her a hug every time you see her, and if you don't, I hope you can appreciate that her memory and know that she'd be proud of you today. Whatever your relationship or circumstance, we literally wouldn't be here without them. So our second toast is to mums. The home straight. Does everyone have a pull yourself together kit? Oh, here we go. Our third and my final toast is to arguably one of the greatest humans ever to have lived. Those who know me know that I love cheese. That being said, I'll try and keep as much out of it, of the next romantic part of my speech as possible, and instead revert to sincere emotions and anecdotals of our magical journey together. No, sorry. I'll try to explain, in my own words and evidence, why I love this woman. For love without evidence is, well, stalking. Let's rewind to that little orange fluff ball that introduced us on that fateful day in 2020. We got chatting in the field with conversation aplenty. I tried all my lines. What musicals do you like? And have you tried merino wool? Somehow you got the impression I was gay, which was not at all useful. Bouncing back, I offered to show you around the beautiful dog walks that encircle our town. Getting to know Bex was an absolute delight. Immediately I could see that she was funny and bright, caring and compassionate down to a T, and she worked in something called addiction recovery. On long dog walks, we'd mosey along, rescuing Sammy from Shetland ponies and swans. By autumn, I knew this was destined to be, and I asked this beautiful wander if she'd go on holiday with me. With COVID and travel bans, this was not an easy feat, and via bookings to Turkey and Cyprus, we ended up in Greece. What a trip. Sun, sea, and ancient history. We arrived a day late because forgotten passenger locator forms demand a 24-hour wait. Biting and being bitten in a taverna, what on earth have I done to deserve this? Greek bliss with a Greek goddess who I can hug and kiss. Whether Astir Beach or Crabby Beach, falling over again and again, you tripping on rocks and kicking boulders in the sea, who knew that the real one doing the falling was me? Oh, it's like camembert. Oh, it's a strong cheese. In 2021, I had to get my head round a new way to get closer to this love that I'd found. A reason to cohabit, an event that would ground. I know, I thought, I'll burn my house down. As well as getting a nice new, reasonably sized TV, it would mitigate the risk of her rejecting me. Because I knew if I asked, of course she'd agree. And who can turn down a charming, homeless refugee? Her response, incredible, patient and kind. I would stay at hers whilst rebuilding mine. Malta next, and a chance to reflect. A stern talking to by your mum made me not want to regret missing out on this wonderful girl, who's quickly becoming my entire world. And the holiday that sealed it was Malta and Gozo. For radiant Bex, ring shopping I would go. Then to Scotland. Loch Rannoch, the scene where unseen Bollinger and rings smuggled to Queen's View ushered in a new age of engagement. The anxiety only of being discovered before my moment was unnerving, but swerving the crowds we found our spot. She said yes, and I hit the jackpot. Whether on a dog walk in Wales, the woods, or the wreck, or splashing in the sea on an island bedecked with pina coladas, there's nowhere I'd rather be than by your side. Yeah. Bex, you are the love of my life. Joy is all I feel today calling you my wife. Williams is a subpar F1 team currently experiencing financial strife. Sorry, I knew I shouldn't have asked ChatGPT for that one. You know what to say when things get tough. To call it a day when you've had enough. To recharge with cuddles, blankets and floofa, a picture of perfection couldn't be truer. I promise to pick up my stuff and be clean, to look after you and never be mean, to hug when it's needed and laugh when it's due, to be there for us and be there for you. You make me so happy, I can only smile, now that I found you and somehow convinced you to be Mrs. Isles. Please join me in a toast. To who? Can you guess? The one, the only, my amazing wife, Bex.
Cheers, Rob. Well done, Simon. That was a bit of a roller coaster. Well, just before I get going, if you two have half as much trust in each other as Simon had with this table, you are golden. Well, apart from going last and having to follow those amazing speeches, it's been pretty easy being Simon's best man so far. As you would have seen earlier, Sammy's been doing most of my jobs for me. For those that don't know Sammy, the dog is a notorious flight risk. So that was really a touching moment when they shows just how much they love Sammy, or how little they trust me, I suppose. Depends which way you look at it. For those that don't know me and weren't listening to Simon's speech just now, my name's Phil, and I've had the privilege of knowing Simon for 14 years. Sorry, where am I? 14 years. Yeah, cheers. Might put in some of these bits that I was going to leave out now. I had the incredibly good fortune of being placed near Simon at our first year accommodation at the University of Southampton. But luckily enough, just far enough away not to hear him snoring, so really the perfect distance. Yeah, the sweet spot. Simon and I always came as a pair at the university, so much so that we actually had a Facebook page created in our name, Phil and Simon, to keep up with our antics. Not made by us, I should add. We're not that sad. And there was even talk of us hosting our own radio show at the university. We didn't do that, you'd be glad to hear. But one of the hard things about being Phil from Phil and Simon is that any comparison to Simon from Phil and Simon is incredibly difficult to live up to. So for those of you who are just getting to know Simon through Bex, I thought I'd just list a couple of things that warrant special warning against comparison with Simon. First of all, gadgetry. Simon has gadgets you never thought you'd need, and probably don't. There's no time to list them all, really, but perhaps my favourite was the personalised embroidered suitcase that would charge your phone, sure, but also could follow you automatically around the airport without you even needing to pull it. Yeah, if there was any silver lining to the house fire that Simon had, it was that it got rid of a lot of these unnecessary gadgets. Actually made some space for Bex to move in, so... This next one's particularly relevant for me today, and is don't compare yourself to Simon with speeches. Simon was recently best man at my wedding and penned a 100-plus line poem that went down an absolute storm. And I'm not going to put myself against that. That was incredible. If any of this speech rhymes, then I've gone off script or just missed out entire paragraphs, and it's happened by accident. So, yeah, I'm not going to put that in there. This next one is perhaps the key warning message. His generosity, as was alluded to in the other speeches. Don't expect to get a better or more thoughtful gift for Simon than he's got for you. But that's not to say that his generosity is limited to brilliant and unexpected gifts. It was actually only last week at his golf stag day that Simon managed to pay over £200 buying rounds of golf for other people. Luckily, I knew him well enough to suspect something like this might have happened, but you've really got to keep a close eye on this guy who will just buy everything for everyone, or 4 of them, actually. Yeah. And this all stems from Simon highly valuing good experiences with those that he loves and cares for. Whether it's co-founding champagne pong in a muddy tent in England, or convincing someone whose idea of excitement is finding a good coupon deal at Lidl, to upgrade to a helicopter ride and champagne lunch on the floor of the Grand Canyon, Simon is always able to get the most out of experiences and encourage others to do the same. Although we did both fall asleep in that helicopter ride, so I guess there's always room for improvement. Some people here will know about Simon's complete inability to get on, never mind stay on, a bucking bronco. If you haven't seen the video, I suggest you find it and watch that. I highly recommend it. You've not seen it?
I've not seen
Oh, wow. You should watch that, Bex. It's something special. I lost my script now. But aside from bucking broncos, the only thing that I can think of where one might come out on top in comparison to Simon is in terms of procrastination. Now, some people here may have seen a popular TED talk that described in very simple and sort of comical terms how the brain of a procrastinator works. So basically, it suggests that there are 3 characters living in their brain: a rational decision maker, a procrastination monkey, and a panic monster lying dormant in their brain. The panic monster's sole responsibility is to wake up at key and pivotal moments in our life and scare off the procrastination monkey so that the rational decision maker can take back hold of the wheel and get the job done when we really need to. Now, as we approach big events, sort of job deadlines, interviews, essays, exams, etc., for most of us, that panic monster will wake up when its alarm goes off and make sure we get a stressful but reasonable time frame to get the job done. Simon's panic monster doesn't seem to work in quite the same way. I strongly suspect that Simon's panic monster is broken. It clearly likes to set or snooze its alarm multiple times before it gets off, or perhaps even just forgets to set an alarm altogether, and only seems to kick into gear with a near impossible amount of time left. But somehow, whether it's writing an entire law assignment that's due the next morning, or running a half marathon, one of your many, on very, very minimal training, or writing a 15,000-word MBA, Bex is shuddering, 15,000-word MBA dissertation in just a few days, somehow Simon always manages to pull it out of the bag. Although without Bex's support on that last one, I don't think you'd have managed it. Which brings me on to Bex, one part of Simon's life where Simon didn't procrastinate. Here, Simon pulled out all of the stops right from the beginning. With the possibility of an actual flight to Italy off the cards, Simon instead turned his front room into an Italian getaway for Bex, featuring a lovely red wine, images of the Colosseum on TV, a pizza from his favourite Italian takeaway, and an abundance of Italian flag bunting decorating the walls. Yes. It was a not-so-subtle and I think very effective way of saying this is the first date. This is a date. This is definitely a date. Now, perhaps many of our friends from university wouldn't be surprised that it's turned out this way. But I think it's clearly quite telling that both Simon and I have married mental health practitioners. Clearly, professional qualifications are needed to take us on. And Bex certainly came well equipped for the mission. Even from very early on in the relationship, when I first met Bex, and she put candles into a melted camembert as Simon's birthday cake, it was clear that she intuitively understood Simon. And despite a valiant effort from Sammy earlier, I think we'll all agree that it's still Bex that stole the show today. It's clear, especially watching Simon's face as you walk down the aisle, that he knows just how lucky he is to have such a beautiful bride by his side today. And I think we should all raise a toast to Bex from the new and improved Bex and Simon. To Bex. Need to drink one. For those of you that saw that, I needed to try to drink the microphone. So. Well, it's been an honour being Simon's best man, and I acknowledge this next bit's going to be extremely cheesy, but Simon both literally and figuratively loves cheese. So I really do feel privileged to be the best man for someone who I consider to be the best man. Stop. Keep going. Anyway, I wish that all of the happiness that both of you helped to create in the world is mirrored in your relationship over the rest of your lives together. And will you all please help for one final time in raising a toast to the happy couple? Piece of toast. That's it. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.